New material with still nozzles and spray angles. And these some things that we have to bear in mind when we try to change the nozzle. Brand is not interchangeable. Do not put a Carlin nozzle into a Beckett, because again, they have different shapes, even though they have the same flow rate and the same angle. Get the same exact one. They're very inexpensive. Do you know how to change a nozzle?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
We all did that last semester. You still remember? You take out the whole assembly.
Yeah.
Take out the whole assembly. You take out, put it on a table, take out the electrodes, take out the turbulator, and you use the 2 wrenches to squeeze it out. And never alter or change the nozzle with a different type. Don't do that unless you know what you're doing and you get some recommendation. Do not touch the strainer or the orifice. So the nozzle is very well designed. The back, if you look at it, has a mesh. Do not touch it. Avoid touching as much as possible. There's some oils in your hand, some dirt in your hand. You might squish it too much. Some people do not have like very small, gentle touch. You can, if you squish the mesh, it's not gonna flow very well. That's why they don't want you to touch it. And use clean hands. You might have some debris in your hands, some grease that might react with the nozzle. Avoid sand, dust, or other objects. If you drop it, sorry to say, you have to change it. If you look at the opening, it's very, very small. It's a micro-millimeter. So any squishing or bending of that will ruin it. And it's made out of very soft material, so it will change the pattern. And it's not very expensive. So, which makes you think, sometimes if you wanna go to the hardware store, buy 2. It's like $1 or 2 for one. So buy 2 of those just in case you drop it. Keep one as a standby. Never take it apart, trying to clean it. That doesn't happen. You saw how intricate it is. Use clean tools. Avoid scratching it. Again, if you drop it or scratch it, try not to put it back. They last for up to 2 seasons, but we change them every season again because new nozzle will give you a very nice new spray. Do you have nozzles in your car?
Injectors.
Injectors, which are the same thing. They do the same spray pattern. And if you don't do a tune-up where they actually go and hook up those injectors to a machine that runs fluid through them, because they do accumulate some stuff and the pattern will change, you'll have bad combustion and you'll have a car will shake.
How do they fix them?
Huh?
They run fluid through them to
Yeah,
fix them?
clean them. They just clean them.
While they're on the car?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's a machine that goes and runs things through them and it will
Wow.
clean them up. There are some mechanics who have that. And sometimes if they are very clogged and you've been, it hardly ever happens, but they can change them. They're not very expensive.
Is there a fuel filter in the car?
Yeah.
Nobody changes. No.
No, some cars have it, sometimes don't. They try to like minimize those things. So the new cars do not have a lot of fuel filters. But I remember the old ones you change your fuel filter. They don't have that anymore. Now they put the pump inside the tank. Have you changed your fuel pump?
What if you have something bad in the tank? You know, like some bar.
They did a lot of design through it. It doesn't break that often. A fuel pump that's submerged into the tank, you have to take the back seal out. There's an opening for it to change it, and usually it doesn't go bad. It takes forever.
Everything goes with the nozzle. If you
Yeah.
pumps up some stuff like water or like.
Maybe it has. There is a. How would a wire get into your tank?
During the 15
That's
years,
true. That's
it feel
true.
like-
That's true. But there's a fuel filter in the oil line, in the fuel line that they actually do change. It's very small.
Those good and
Check.
fine.
Yeah, check. There is a fuel filter, I'm sure. So you don't want to go to the injection. You don't want to go to the piston. That's the problem too. What if it goes through? So okay, they should not be very hot. Remember that. If you take out your assembly and you look at this, it's very burned and very hot. What's happening? Something bad is happening, right? It's either too close, exposed to the fire. There's backfire. There's flame impingement. So it should not be very hot. It should be warm, but not too hot. If you take it out, it's black and dark and charred. Something is wrong with the combustion. So you might want to check what's happening in there. Don't just change things without looking for the codes. Could be a reason for smoky fire. Never disassemble again. Use clean tools. Same ideas. Same things. After drip, that's a problem with the pump or the shutoff valve. The valve is not shutting off when it's de-energized. Could be a defective pump or shut-off valve, air in the nozzle, or leaks. So air, what happens is when it cools off, it will, when it heats up, it will expand and will push through the fuel through the line. So if there is after drip, that's a problem.
Is that why we purchased?
Huh?
Is that why we purchased the line?
Yeah, but you're purging from the pump out, not from the pump to the nozzle. So if there's a leak, if there is air inside the line, what does that mean? Where does the air come from?
Outside.
There's a leak, right? If there's a leak, you're gonna have some air inside. It could be excessive radiant heat after shutdown. The chamber gets so hot that it heats back the nozzle. So if you look at the chamber, if you look inside here, there's insulation. It's padded, it's insulated, it takes up to 1,000-degree temperature. It should not be that hot. Where does the heat go? Up through the vent to heat your heat exchanger. Should not be heating the walls. If you touch the boiler and it's really hot, something doesn't make sense at all, and you should investigate. Defective pump shut-off valve, it could be a problem. So again, we said that before that if you check the pump pressure and you shut it down, and the pump, so you put your gauge in the outlet of the pump, energize it, the pressure will go up to 100. You shut it off the pump. It will drop by 20 to 15%, and it should stay there.
For fuel?
Huh?
Fuel pump?
Yeah, it should stay there. If you keep dropping, you have a leak or a bad pump. Pump is returning back to the tank. So that's when you have to change it or check out your pump. This shows you what air leak does. So you have some bubbles under pressure. But once you shut off the valve, it will expand because there is low pressure. This expansion will push the fuel out. The problem with after drip is you're going to have a faulty and a foul chamber floor. And when you turn it next time, you're going to have some smoke coming up and could cause you to have continuous ignition. I had a boiler which had a lot of resets on it. The chamber was saturated with oil. If you look at this chamber, it has some kind of foam or fibers that will absorb the oil. If it absorbs a lot of oil and you turn it on, it's all going to ignite at some temperature and you're going to have continuous fire, a lot of smoke. If you have a chamber completely saturated, you have to shut down the boiler, change the insulation, open it up. There's a product you can put to soak the oil and take it out again, vacuum it. It's a process.
What do you mean air leaks?
Huh?
What do you mean air leaks? Not
Holes?
fuel leaks?
No, air is leaking inside, the inside. So you have, if you have after dripping, there's air inside. It's
Oh,
it's
air
an opening.
inside.
Yeah, inside. It's from inside the pipe.
I see.
Air is getting inside because you lost some oil.
Because it's leaking.
Yeah, so it's leaking oil, not
Oil leaking.
Yeah,
because
oil leak.
Oil in system.
But for oil to come out, something gonna come in. But by the terminology, you're right. Let me fix it. So oil leak that causes the air to get in. If you have some leaks in here or here, whenever you have something comes out, something gonna come in. If it's small droplet, it should go through. Okay, so that's in general what people would like to know about nozzle and oil lines. And again, there's a lot of information here that some of them you need, some of them actually you need most of this information, but I'm gonna touch base on the basic things that we need to remember.
So there's a little screw on that oil valve, right, that makes it more or less? On the
Yeah.
outside of the burner, right where the valve solenoid, and then there's a little screw. Doesn't that make it more pressure or less pressure? That's
No, the valve only opens and closes. The pressure is in the pump.
Oh, in the pump side.
Yeah, there's
There's
a
this little
side-
screw
yeah.
with a jam nut.
Yeah.
That makes it more or less?
Yeah, you're increasing and decreasing an opening.
I see.
I don't know if we have
So that's all that does, cause I couldn't get mine to fire for nothing, so what I did was I remembered like old carburetors.
Yeah.
And I remembered how many turns, and I went all
Do
the
you have
way
a gauge
in,
pressure?
and then I went all the way back, the exact same amount, and then it fired right up.
But again, you want something that's calculated.
Oh, I see.
So you gotta go and put pressure in
Yeah.
the nozzle line and measure how much pressure you're adding and increasing. Because if you go too high and too low, the fire is gonna go really big and really small.
So you just take the nozzle off the end and put the pressure
Yes.
thing on that?
Yes.
And you have it outside of the unit or inside?
No, inside.
Oh, okay.
Inside. We did that last semester. Chamber. So this is something you're not going to care about unless you have to change a chamber, which I don't think you will do at this stage. But it's good to know that the size of the chamber is not random. It comes with, it depends on the flow rate and how much heat you put in there. So it's done based on the gallon per hour firing rate. It's done by per square inch of combustion chamber. This is something you will need to know if you are going to convert oil to gas, gas to oil, wood fire to oil. You might want to do that for alteration, and you need somebody to verify your calculation. Otherwise, it's going to be completely different. So if you are going to alter your boiler or furnace, change the fuel, look at chapter 5. There's good sizing for the chamber, and a lot of people will ask you as a technician whether should I convert to gas and is it possible, and it is possible. If you go to Beckett or Carlin, the ones who sell the oil one, they'll give you a conversion kit. Based on the chamber, you can go and calculate it, tell them the shape, and they can provide you with a conversion kit. It's not difficult at all, and it's a very good practice. So these are the square inches areas. It's basically telling you the air, you know how to calculate the area, right? If you go inside the chamber, for example, this one is a square chamber. I'm going to calculate the width, the height, and the length, and give you the volume of this chamber. This just gives you the different width and length. How does it look like? What kind of nozzle size you need? Single nozzle. So
In the NORA book?
that's in the NORA book. And these are the dimensions. So this is where you want to gauge. So you will center the flame. You don't want the flame to be too low or too high again. So notice you want the flame to be centered right inside the chamber. The height all the way to the top where you have the heat exchanger. You can see this over there. And this is going to be the end of the flame. So you're gonna have to do the calculation instead of doing try and error. So it's good to spend time on paper. It's less effort than to go back and change nozzles back and forth, bring 5 nozzles with you. No. Measure twice, cut once. So do the measurement, look at the chart, see what do you need for firing rate, what is your length and width, what are the dimensions, and where are you going to put your flame. And you might have to do some kind of alteration, raise it up, put it down. As you can see, the hole here is fixed, but some of them, they're not fixed. There's a whole big plate where you can change and have a high plate or lower plate. You can fabricate something as well for those old boilers. The old boilers are very, very well made. They've been there, some of them are like more than 60 or 70 years old. They are made with very good cast iron, but some of them were designed for coal or wood. You'll see 2 of them we have here. Actually, they are designed to work with coal or wood. So we changed that into oil, and we can change them back into gas. You can, because the boiler is going to be the same. It has water going through it. It's a vessel. You change only the burn. Okay, let me divert a little bit.
If you do tune up, how you can see the flame inside? It's hidden chamber,
You
you
don't.
know?
You don't.
There is a view chamber about that big.
Yeah, but they're not in all boilers. Look at this one.
Oh, not on the old one?
This one gives you a little bit of fun. There's a view chamber here. You can open it up. If you look at that, you can open that, like to look at it. You can stick a mirror inside. They have those metallic mirror. You can see, but that's why experience comes in. And the reason I'm using the wood and coal one because it's a big door, you can look and see the flame. So at some point you have to guesstimate, use some skills and use that chamber size because you cannot see. The new ones, they don't give you an opening. And the reason why is it's psychological. If the owner comes to see the burner and see fires, it's kind of like, some people are kind of not very comfortable with that. But if you know that this actually is making fire, making heat, that's fine. I had somebody who think just oil heat, just I don't know, oil just makes heat by itself.
You know, they put a view window on gas.
Huh?
A lot of gas furnaces have a little view window.
Mine does it, a lot of them don't. They
No.
don't want you to see that. Just like in your car, if you know in your car you have a lot of explosions happening 3,000 times a minute, you're not gonna be comfortable with that. If you don't hear it, if you take out your muffler, if you hear the explosion, it's very loud. If you have a broken muffler, it's a huge explosion. But you don't, because you don't see, you don't feel it, you're okay. You hit the gas and you're comfortable. But the amount of fires going there, the amount of heat, it's amazing. Okay. So this is the chamber sizing. Oh, that's another thing that you actually want to be aware of. Do not stick the neck too much inside. Those things are changeable. You can buy another one. If you put it too much inside, you have a lot of space that you're not using. So you want to be mostly flush for a little bit leeway where the flame can go outside. And you don't want it to be too short so the flame does not hit the sides of these chambers. What else? Shapes. These are some of the chambers you'll see. This is mostly for water tanks. I've seen this. Very funky. Small. This is the most common ones. Yeah, we covered mostly everything here. I highly recommend that you browse through this, especially if you want to make servicing oil and gas as a part of your job. They have a lot of information here that will be useful to you. Let's pause the review.